Hello everyone, welcome to another video journal entry for learning to trade. I should imagine this will sound a little bit different to the last few videos. I rushed into the office this morning we have a food delivery. Usually we get our food delivered by a company called Riverford. Basically when we're at work, it's a lot easier to receive it there. So we haven't changed the address, which meant just rushing in and making sure that I'm here for the delivery in the morning, as they've all been asked to leave the deliveries outside. And obviously it's kind of a busy area, so anyone could just walk past, and food being the not necessarily tricky to get hold of at the minute, but opportunists could walk past and just nab the boxes. So rushed in to collect those. They've not turned up yet, so I thought I would switch the laptop on and continue recording. So anyway, not that you needed to know part of my life story at this stage, but so I didn't bring my microphone, which is probably why it's going to sound a bit thin and tinny from the internal mic, but I'm as close to the screen as I can comfortably get, and so hopefully you can hear me clearly. Let's jump straight into it, because that was completely unnecessary for you to know. What do you want to know? Well, that long that I was looking into on the previous few videos, or maybe just on the previous video, also added something on TradingView, published my next move, just to kind of crystallize what I had envisaged. So you can see here that we did in fact wick up to my take profit target, which was just below the previous support, as I'd mentioned last time. That to me was the successful trade I wanted. I don't necessarily want to hold out for anything else, see how this played out. My original idea was that we were going to get this retest and bounce, which I guess in some respects you could argue that this wick here was the test, but it could just be entirely coincidental. I drew this line arbitrarily, so why should that be... I really couldn't care less about that right now. I just stuck this here for argument's sake. This is kind of where I was looking to take my entry. So that wick just happened to coincide with the yellow line. I don't think there's anything, there was no skill in that. It is, very close to the previous resistance that was bouncing around at, and then obviously push down further from here. So, you could argue that is a good case for what I was expecting, but I can get rid of these now, because I've recorded that. I've published it in TradingView as well, so I can always look back on the trade for more information. I am expecting to see this push a little bit higher again. I'm not going to take any further trades at this stage. I'm not interested. I was happy with that until I see something else that's going to be of interest. What I expect to happen, if you look back on this area here, we're looking at effectively a similar sort of pattern. And that's how I expect it to play out. So we had this sharp move up, and then we bounced and ranged for a while. This looks to be a smaller repeating pattern of this one. That is, again, that's just how I see it playing out at this stage. So if you were playing these bounces here within this range, this horizontal range, you could have been looking at some fairly decent gains if you knew what you were doing. So you could have shorted the pullback, or whatever, it's perhaps the bounce back down 6%. Once you start seeing this get in a pattern, you could potentially say, okay, well look, this is going to bounce, it's going to bounce, it's going to bounce. I'm going to open a long Here, if it goes up, I'm going to close, but again, that's a bit risky, and if we're looking at completing a similar sort of pattern to what happened previously on a smaller scale, the returns or the movements in terms of percentage are going to be quite a bit smaller, and it's just, I don't think it's worth particularly entertaining any trades in that zone or that area. So I'm going to look for potentially bouncing off of the EMAs. They've now crossed, and we could effectively continue arcing. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw something out. I think we're going to do this, bounce off the EMA, maybe just continue up a bit. We're going to hit this previous resistance, or this previous support, sorry, that's now resistance. Let's just put a ray there. We're going to potentially come back down, I think, is where the general, again, just my opinion based on what I've previously been looking at. If we have a look just quickly at the Heikin Ashi candles, because they're quite good at helping you determine a trend. Yeah, I think we've got a very similar sort of pattern emerging to this one. So let's see how if this holds here and continues ranging around. I don't see any reason for it to really continue breaking higher. I've been proven wrong many times before, but that's just the way I see it happening. If you have a look on the 4-hour to slightly bigger time scale, looks like we've got that might even be a head and shoulders pattern. But again, I've looked at so many of those before in the past, and they break the opposite way to what you're expecting. So I don't know whether that's people with deep pockets playing with us, or whether it's just something that is kind of irrelevant in trying to chart a pattern like that in Bitcoin. But who knows? Who knows? There's obviously a reason these patterns are out there, and they're well documented. I could potentially, I'm just looking at this, seeing it go down. I mean, the overall, let's go back to Heikin Ashi. Yeah, we're not, I don't know actually. Let's have a look at the weekly. Sometimes it's good to zoom out and have a look on a much bigger scale. I don't know actually, having said that. Look at this here, right? Let's just draw, I tell you what, let's draw a box, a rectangle. Look at this previous support. Look at where we are. This is some of the tricky, using a trackpad. Right, look at where we are. Let's delete that. I don't need that anymore. We are testing, I believe, or pushing into this previous support here. We broke through, obviously, what's that, 6th of May, but this is a weekly, so I'm assuming that's week ending 6th of May. But anyway, the point is we closed above. We continued on the upside. We come back down. We test this area. We hit this previous area, or just above it, to be honest. I don't know whether I should be looking at specific numbers, or whether we should be looking at a range. Still not, the jury's out on whether that's a legitimate way of charting, but it just feels very much like we bounced off of support, and we've come back down. We've broken through, and this was obviously during the whole Corona panic. We've come back up. Look at this. What's that, like a gravestone doji candle? Which, from what I can remember, is a bearish trend reversal. So but that wouldn't make sense because there's a lot of downward selling pressure. It's not like it's on the other side where people have been buying it up and pushing it up. Sorry, I don't know. I need to look into that. That's quite an interesting. Just maybe think about what this is going to potentially mean for the upcoming weeks. But if we can break through and hold and close above this previous support, I think that's a good sign. Like as a bullish sign. If we close below, it will be a bearish sign, because this is going to become resistance. So if we close below and we hit against it again, I think we are going to then solidify this as a new point of resistance, which will be bad for what potentially we assumed was going to be another bull run. And I think it's partially due to, there's not going to be as much retail people jumping in as they used to. Everyone's going to be very skeptical as well. I mean, we've got potentially one of the worst recessions coming up, and especially as far as I can remember, because I've only been in business for running my own business for like 4 years, and other smaller business before that, if you count them. But my father previously in the same industry, I think it would be 2 recessions that he went through, and he noticed. But this one, I think, is just affecting all of us. Like, everybody's in the same boat. I don't think we're going to have buckets of cash lying around that we're going to invest in a speculative asset. It's a risk. It's a very high risk. I can't see why. The only reason I could see this actually increasing would be if smart people with big pockets or deep pockets are going to put their money in because they expect it to, I don't know, just... Could it be something to do with the halving that's coming up? Could it be something to do with the fact that, will the infinite printing of dollars actually increase the value of Bitcoin? Does that work? Is that something we should be looking into? Will, I think quantitative easing and completely just blasting cash out into the economy, will that actually decrease the value of the dollar against Bitcoin? I don't know. I don't know how that works. It's something I want to look into. And these are all interesting questions for the long-term, bigger picture scale and the future of the direction that Bitcoin's going to go. If I was to put money on it right now, I would say down. I would just, say down. Why not? I mean, look at this. We're sitting in previous resistance. There's no reason why it's become support yet. We have to wait for the weekly to close and see whether we go after that. But currently, my money is not on it going up. Sad to say, because I'd love to see this. I'd love to see this go up. From a personal perspective, I really love the idea of Bitcoin. I love what it has done for people. I love what it can potentially do. I'm thinking, given how much financial craziness at the minute, it's only going to get worse. Potentially, are we going to be looking at people struggling to get money out? Are we going to be looking at people who can't get to the banks, or the banks aren't able to give them their money? Is Bitcoin going to be seen as something of actually we can start using it as a peer-to-peer electronic cash, perhaps with Lightning Network and some of the... perhaps now is more of a time than any. Necessity is the mother of invention. Perhaps this is going to really push and drive innovation, and we're going to potentially see more adoption in Bitcoin being used as a cash system. I don't know. These are all questions that I'm looking into. I have the time to actually research this now, and it's all very exciting. But as a trader, that I want to focus more on is the direction of the market. From a trading perspective, I don't care which direction it's going to go, because using BitMEX. You can short on the way down, make money on the way down, you can make money on the way up. So that's what I'm looking at next. This is now completed. I actually have these are when I was mucking around a long time ago, some of my trades. But this is where I've started taking it seriously. This is my most recent long, March 30th. Previous order before that was I bought, obviously I did a short sell, so I bought when it hit. You can actually go back in the previous videos and see what I did with that. I'm intentionally not showing you the account name. Just something tells me that that's a bad idea, but I want to be as transparent as possible and show you what's going on. I kind of want to show you my account balance as well, not from a point of view of showing off, but I want to kind of prove to you that I am taking it seriously, and that I am, well, I guess you can just have a look at these trades here. The ones prior to that, you know, I had a few losses, but I've recorded them anyway on the video, so yeah, there we go, that's where we are. So let's just keep an eye on this. I hope for all of you that have any setups that are playing out as you expected, I hope that's going well. And also I want to make sure that I have recorded my progress and my next steps, which are, I believe, to be wait for a trade to play out. I'm not going to push anything, and I'll obviously update you as things go on. Yeah, obviously, hope you're all doing well and healthy, staying safe. Hope that you can all get the food that you need, and financially things aren't too stressful, and that the government are actually supporting you in these uncertain times, and that you're taking the time, if you are furloughed, if you are off work, to be investing that time into doing something positive with it. Pick up a new skill, maybe those things that have always been on your to-do list but you've never found the time to do it. Maybe now's the time to do. So yeah, with that, I'm going to say goodbye and good luck if you've got any trades currently running, and hope they're favouring the direction that you want them to. And I'll catch up with you in the next episode. All right, goodbye.